There are some really hard problems, like, the Russians playing on Twitter.
The Russian bots are out there doing things.
Russian bots are all over.
Russian bots, online attack, ongoing attack by the Russian government. Russian bots, Twitter attacks. Russian attack on Twitter. Russian bots flood Twitter.
Russian bot accounts are flooding Twitter.
America is under attack.
A Russian bot army of Russian bots are coming.
Russian-linked Twitter accounts flooded Twitter.
This is an attack on America by Russia.
Russian Twitter bots.
Russian-backed accounts searching for new targets.
Russian bots targeting Americans.
Russian bots.
Russian bot army.
Russians army of bots.
Bot army.
They're coming for us.
Russia's attacks on social media.
Using their bots.
Attack of the bots. We are witnessing an ongoing attack by the Russian government through Twitter.
Everyone run for cover.
Russian bots flood Twitter.
The Russian bots will be taking over.
In an escalating drumbeat of attacks on Twitter.
Russian trolls flood Twitter.
Russia's expanding Twitter campaign against America.
Did I mention Russian bots flood Twitter?
Russian-backed accounts are on the prowl.
Lots of Russian-linked accounts are trying to grab Americans' attention right now.
The United States is under attack.
From the Russian bots.
Twitter flooded with Russia-linked bots.
It's very dangerous.
There's a clear and present danger.
So it's a very dangerous situation.
You're all in danger.
There's ample proof.
And we can see it through tools like this Russian influence tracker on Twitter.
The Twitter tracking tool Hamilton68 found Russian-linked Twitter accounts.
Russia-linked accounts. A website called Hamilton68 has been tracking
Russian bots.
This is actually a live feed. Russian bots.
According to data collected by Hamilton68.
Hamilton68.
Go to Hamilton68.
An organization called Hamilton68 was the source of hundreds of news stories over the course of a period of years, allegedly tracking Russian bots. But we now know, based on stuff that we've seen internally in these emails, that there were no Russian bots.
Wait, what did you say?
They were taking organic opinions of real Americans and representing them as Russian-driven narratives. But there were no Russian bots.
Russian bots.
According to Hamilton68.
Fake news.
These are all Russian accounts monitored by Hamilton68.
Bullshit.
We've seen what the bots have been doing according to the Hamilton Project.
This is all bullshit.
Hamilton68, a project that tracks Russian bots.
Bullshit.
Found a dramatic increase in Russian bots.
Russian bots on Twitter. According to the third party.
Hamilton68.
It's not fucking real.
A website that tracks Twitter accounts linked to the Russian government.
Total bullshit.
Hamilton68.
It's a fraud.
Reporting Twitter accounts.
Effective ties to
Russian bots.
This is all bullshit.
Hamilton68 has been tracking these bots.
It's all bullshit.
Hamilton68 tracks these Russia bots.
Bullshit.
Hamilton68.
Bullshit.
A website that tracks Twitter activity says Russian bots inundating Twitter.
This is all bullshit.
Dashboard Hamilton68.
Hamilton68 follows hashtags on a daily basis. Hashtags that are being propagated, weren't created by Russians, but these are 600 Russian websites that are using, these are the hashtags that they did.
Russian-linked accounts tweeting Monday motivation and Wednesday wisdom.
Russian agents pushing the hashtag Merry Christmas?
Russian bots getting involved in a school shooting.
What the hell is he talking about? Russian trolls using hashtags like Parkland, Gun Control Now, and Florida.
Russian bots. There's nothing really that they wouldn't get their hands on.
Russian trolls and bots saying hashtag whatever the GOP narrative is.
Laura Ingraham is supported by Russia-linked accounts. According to Hamilton68, John Hannity is a favorite of Russian accounts. According to Hamilton68,
the narrative that the Trump administration is putting out also is the Putin narrative because they're retweeting this with their Russian bots.
I'm honestly
We're trampling over the rule of law.
Russian bots drive almost every conversation. According to Hamilton68,
The Russian bots erupting.
Twitter erupted with such hashtags as stand for our anthem, as well as take a knee.
according to PolitiFact citing
Hamilton68.
Hamilton68 dashboard.
Hamilton68.
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 Hamilton68 dashboard on bot activity. Russian-backed bots.
Russian influence.
Bots.
So Ken, what are these bots trying to accomplish?
Well, they're trying to fan the flames of political discord in our country, Stephanie, which is not that difficult to do.
Russian bots.
Russian bots. Russian bots. They're creating an echo chamber. They're creating an alternate reality.
The Russian bots.
We're reporting on this just like Russian bots.
Senator, we're doing the work for them.
The Russian bots.
The Russian bots.
We are proving some of us to be pawns in a game.
It's an ongoing Russian psyops or psychological operations campaign
Linked to the U.S. government.
The former head of the CIA, Michael Hayden, is joining us, everybody.
Hamilton68 is a running dashboard of what Russian bots
are trending.
Former acting CIA director Mike Morrell
wrote a Washington Post article citing Hamilton 68,
which suggests that the Russians are starting to play in our midterm election.
And you guys see all of this on your Hamilton 68 dashboard, which I think is really cool.
The dashboard, Hamilton 68.
Laura, it's good to be with you again.
John Brennan was director of the Central Intelligence Agency when we spent many hours together in the Situation Room.
In your organization, Laura, I know, tracks some of these bots. Tell us about your website, Hamilton 68.
Our website, Hamilton 68, it's a dashboard that tracks a sampling of 600 Kremlin-oriented Twitter accounts.
Secret list of 600 accounts they said were linked to Russian influence. Well, in the Twitter files, we found the list. And the list is mostly bereft of Russians, but is full of real Americans. What they did is a fraud. They took ordinary conversations of ordinary Americans and just called it Russian influence.
Russian bots are all over.
Russian bots.
Russian bots.
Russian bots.
Russian bots. Russian-linked bots, automatic accounts.
Russian bots.
Hamilton 68.
Hamilton 68 knows they're Russian bots.
This whole thing was a fraud.
And you know, my old job at the State Department was what people used to joke as the chief propagandist job. We haven't talked about propaganda. Propaganda, I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it to their own population.
Hamilton 68, the Russian dashboard, it's a real-time dashboard of Russian influence.
Russian bots.
A lot of Russian bots.
You know, the Russian networks that we monitor.
They're not Russians. These are mostly ordinary Americans, real accounts of real people.
What these bots have been doing is trying to undermine our democracy.
There are these bots.
To undermine our democracy.
The grave threat to democracy is posed by the Russian bots.
First step really is to make the American people aware of this absolutely chilling threat.
Of Russian-backed, Russian agent, Kremlin-oriented Russian Twitter account tied to the Russian government. Russian bots are back.
Russian bots to say.
Russian bots. Twitter attack. Russian bots inflamed. Russian bots stoked. Russian bots flop. Russian bots spread Russian bots disinformation from Russian bots.
Russian bots jumped on these stories.
Russian Twitter bots jump. Russian trolls jumping. Russian bots pounce. 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 Pound. 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 Russian bot army pound.
Now this data comes from Hamilton 68.
These Russian bots spreading false information online.
These Russian efforts really pervade all outlets and all platforms.
And that is what Russian Twitter bots do.
My Twitter feed will be attacked by Russian bots after this.
I've seen in my own timeline people who I suspect to be Russian bots.
I was being targeted on Twitter by Russian bots. I know that from professionals who tell me.
But you came in one day and said, boy, you and Mika have been the targets of a lot of Russian bots.
Kamala Harris has been one of those people who has been targeted by many, many Russian bots or whoever.
You feel like you're being targeted by Russian bots now?
Well, we already know we are.
The Russians don't want me to be the nominee. They spend a lot of money on bots.
Check out the dashboard to track Russian active measures at dashboard.securingdemocracy.org.
That was by Orf.
Beautiful video.
Orf.
Whoever made that, it's spectacular.
Man, this was awesome.
Just perfect.
Really interesting video.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
It almost made me cry.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
It's hysterical.
It's fantastic.
This is the best.
Matt Orfalea.
Matt Orfalea.
Do I have it right?
You know, that's how famous Orf is.
Any negative news about vaccine is instantly amplified by the Russians, bots.